In today's brief exchange, a reflection on the musical Hamilton leads to a conversation about whether or not we have a right to comfort.
This is Jews Talk Racial Justice with April and Tracie,
a weekly show hosted by April Baskin and Tracie Decker.
In a complex world, change takes courage.
Wholehearted relationships can keep us accountable.
So you're saying you have this friend?
Yeah, so I have this friend from synagogue who adores live theater. It's her primary hobby is watching. She has subscriptions to all the theaters and she just really likes it. And so we've seen a few things together and she's told me about things. And I've seen some really, really powerful plays because she said, you should go see this. Anyway, we were talking about Hamilton probably a year ago. I first saw it when it came to Baltimore, and then we started talking about it. And I mean, it's a brilliant, brilliant show. And there are things that are amazing about it. It has allowed so many actors of color to be showcased in not stereotyped roles. And the music is amazing and all those things. But anyway, this friend of mine who is a white Jew said to me, I also really loved it when I saw it. And there's something that makes me uncomfortable and I don't know what it is, but if this many white people are this excited about it, there must be something that's not quite where it needs to be. And she said it kind of to make me laugh, but it felt like there was some wisdom in that, which is which is kind of what I'm reacting to in this impulse of this. You were telling me this fella who told you he wished that Black Lives Matter had used somehow different language that would be easier to stomach. And so my reaction is kind of like this synagogue friend's yeah, but if white people are super comfortable with it, then will it actually make change?
Yeah. And no, there really is something to that, Tracie. In fact, if I remember correctly, Toni Morrison really detested the play, so much so that she commissioned a contradictory play to be made.
Right. That's right. I haven't seen that. So that play was called The Haunting of Manuel-Miranda. Which I haven't. I only know the name of it and the fact that Toni Morrison commissioned it, but I have heard and read other critique that it glosses over a lot of racism and slaveholding. And I mean, Daveed Diggs in the original cast played Jefferson, and also Lafayette, but he played Thomas Jefferson. And there is a line about, where he talks to Sally Hemings briefly in the show in one of his in his first song, Jefferson's first song in the play. And there is some critique where through Hamilton's voice, Lin-Manuel Miranda critiques Jefferson and Madison's slaveholding, but Washington kind of gets a pass, and even Hamilton's abolitionism is, I understand, kind of exaggerated in the play compared to his what was in his life. Yeah. And it's also super catchy, and I love the music. It comes back to that classic debate about the art and the artist, and the sort of larger critique's not the word I'm looking for. Larger context comes back to that again, which I bump up against regularly as a consumer of art and culture. Sort of every time I learn something new about Picasso, for instance, I want to cancel him, and yet he was so influential and whatever. So, finding a way to be both and instead of either or.
And threads coming up in our conversation here, Tracie. There's the thread that you just said relating to cancel culture that I've been thinking about over the last week, and maybe that isn't the right word because that's the dynamic that's happening, but specifically for me, the discernment about at what point, because there are certain points where someone has hurt, the degree they've hurt other people, the number of times, the veracity of the accusations, different components. Because I notice at times there are certain artists where I've either heard rumors or seen certain things that have either been addressed or not. And that's a concern, and I wouldn't want to socialize with them, but it's not at the level that either an artist or a leader that it makes it's worth the loss of what they've created. And there are
Yeah.
other times where it's very clear to me, like since I was young, as soon as I first learned about things happening with R. Kelly, I
Right.
stopped engaging with his music. Like I've never been very public about it, but literally it, because people often love that song at my Black family reunions of Step in the Name of Love. And I will politely sit down every time. No one's ever asked me. I didn't make a big scene, but I'm literally like, I don't, I can't celebrate to this.
Right. Right.
And not that I have vilified R. Kelly, but there's just too many years of unaddressed. It's clear to me that likely he was profoundly hurt and abused, and there's just too much egregious violations. I can't do it anymore, right? But I get off track. The point is, or not, but that was a rabbit hole. But to me, there's so many different threads here. There's specifically the parts of Hamilton. I haven't actually seen it. It's like this joke where my roommate invited me this summer. I think it was the summer it came out, and there were tickets for $200 to see the show, and I thought, oh, I'll wait till they go down. It was like I didn't realize how rare it was to have two tickets where like her other friends couldn't go, and so she had an extra ticket, and little did I know that was going to be
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
really great chance, and that that there's going to be so oops, my bad. So we could look more deeply into, and discuss specifically the specifics of Hamilton. And then to me, there's also just a broader, and there's the theme that we have going here around comfort and how valid is something if it's extremely comfortable. And to me, because I really strive to bring as much love and reassurance and comfort into my work as possible. I think the distinction or like the nuance that I would add to your statement, because I think there is validity in it of your friend's joke and you sort of asserting that you think that is valid, is if masses of white people, right? Like generally the white folks who I tend to work with, in addition to the people of color I work with, are people who at one level or another are already deeply committed or engaged to a certain extent or are on a pathway toward that, versus the masses of people who still largely operate unconsciously and in racist, implicit and explicit racist ways in daily life.
Mhm.
Right. So to me, there's a distinction there, because I find, for me, because I noticed that certain educators, whether they're people of color or white at times, seem to actively, that they are averse to comfort, that they think comfort is sort of like the enemy. And in general, I much prefer like a stretch zone and pushing and striving and being engaged. But I think that anyway, so there's a whole like interesting thing there for me too around that. And
I think that I guess I hear that, and that definitely is part of your genius, is bringing joy to the work. And um you counter the myth that you have to be miserable in order to work for justice, and that's one of the things I love about you. um and
and
and I feel like you're right. It's always nuance and discernment, because
there's a line.
there's a line, and there's it's a both and, right? Because I think the component of white supremacy culture about this is this right to comfort, and therefore if something makes me uncomfortable, it must be wrong. That's the thing that needs to be countered. That there's that we're somehow entitled to comfort, and therefore someone who makes us uncomfortable is actually harming us.
Mm-hmm.
um, that is a false a false narrative, a false assumption. um, so I think that's part of it. And then, oh, my brain, I can't, I grab I there's this great idea, and I'm like, I'm gonna say, I really want to bring this up, and then I lose it
Yes.
again. um
I hope what I have isn't contagious. Maybe the tables have turned in this conversation. Mwahaha. Let's all enjoy April's linear mind for the day.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh so hard.
It's okay. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Our show's theme music was composed by Elliot Hammer. You can find this track and other beats on Instagram at Elliot Hammer. If this episode resonated with you, please share it and subscribe. To join the conversation, visit juicetalkracialjustice.com, where you can send us a question or suggestion, access our show notes, and learn more about our team. Take care until next time, and stay humble and keep going.